Hey, what's up, yo? Welcome back to another video. So today's gonna be more of a commentary video, and I'm pretty much gonna be talking about the things that I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, and how I'm going to improve in the future for my comic book series. This will be things that I have learned while making my very first graphic novel, comic book, manga, whatever you want to call it. Things that I've learned along the way, the mistakes I've made, the things that I'm going to improve on, and basically, the future of how this is going to go on, if it even has a future, because I think it will, depending on if it does well. And as I'm talking, I'll be doing this piece in the background, which is a promotional piece for my manga, in fact, called The Black Lotus. If you guys are interested in supporting me, you can get early access over on Patreon, while print versions are still in production. But anyway, let's just get started. I think one of the biggest things that I learned while making this book is how hard it actually is and how much respect that I have for people who make comic books for a living, especially manga artists that are literally their whole life is manga. I think people really underestimate how much work goes into making a manga or comic book in general. Just so everyone knows, I started my book in 2022 and I just finished it in 2024. Well, technically I finished it in 2023, but I had to redo some pages and finalize it in this new year. So that just tells you how long it takes to make a book. Now, to be fair, I did this all by myself. I only had a few people help me with lettering, because I'm dyslexic, so sometimes the words can be a little bit messed up. But other than that, the backgrounds, the characters themselves, the poses, all that stuff was all done by one person. And I think the biggest thing that I learned while making this book is having a plan and making sure that you have an actual, plan to get things done. I think the biggest reason why it took so much longer to get out than it should have is because I was having extremely severe burnouts. Burnouts that were like, I didn't think I was gonna recover from. There were some times where I did not even want to draw at all. Like, I didn't want to pick up the pencil. I didn't want to see it. And the burnout was insane. Burnout is pretty much something that happens to artists when they do something so much to the point their body doesn't even want to do it anymore. It's like overworking. And burning out happens to not just manga artists, it happens to any kind of artist, whether you're 3D, sculpting, cosplay, I don't know, it doesn't matter what kind of art you're into. Burnout can happen to anybody. But one of the major causes of burnout is because you're going into something that, one, you are probably you have nerves about, you overthink things. There's a lot of stress that goes into making art in general. So having a good, cohesive, and very well planned out idea of what you're gonna do when you're tackling a project is one of the biggest things that I really recommend for anybody trying to get into this work. Because like I said earlier, this is my first time ever making a fully fleshed out manga comic book. Now, when I was younger, I have made little tiny comic books here and there, like little comic strips, you know what I'm saying? I've had stuff like that, little cutesy things. I've done that, obviously. But making a full-length manga that has a beginning, middle, and end was harder than any piece I've ever done. Any work of art that I've done in my entire year's drawing, this has been the hardest project I've ever done. And now that it's finally complete, it's like the biggest weight off of my shoulders. Because making a comic book and manga isn't just about drawing pictures and doing cool fight scenes. You have to have a cohesive story as well that can engage the audience. You have to also know who your target audience is. For instance, my target audience is, I would say young adults around my age, around 19 to 20s, all right? 18, 19, 20, in that age range, because it's a mature book, an adult book, and it has a lot of themes that may not be suitable for younger kids. So you have to know who your audience is targeting, like who's the audience you're targeting as well. You got to know how to plot things correctly, how to make things cohesive so you don't have any hiccups. When I was going back and revising my comic book, I realized how many mistakes I made, and it was ridiculous. But like I said, that comes from a lack of experience doing the craft. I was pretty much learning a brand new medium on the go. Like I was learning a brand new medium as I was going. Like I was learning as I was making the book. And that is one of the biggest reasons why there were so many mistakes. The next thing I learned about making a manga is you have to be very, very patient with not only yourself, but the whole process in general. There were so many times where I felt like scrapping the entire project. Like I was like, you know what, this is not worth it, bro. Like I'm sitting here stressing out over a book that probably is not even gonna do well. Like what am I doing really? You know what I'm saying? And having that thought in your head is a very, very toxic, first of all, and it can be very, very demotivating. So having that thought in your head while making something can really bring down your work and make you not want to even complete it. But I pushed through, you know what I'm saying? Because I believed in myself. First of all, you gotta believe in yourself. Even if there's times where I felt like giving up, I was like, you know what? Let's just see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll never know if it does well if I don't finish it first. So that's why I kept on going. And having that motivation, having someone to motivate you in the background really helped. Because I have my sister, who is also a big fan of the book. And that kept me going. They gave me a reason to finish it. You know what I'm saying? Because if anyone was gonna like it, I knew she was. So having some people who support you, keeping you motivated to go on and say, hey man, keep on going, that's also a big factor. But there may be some times where you don't have that person, you don't have that support or that motivation in the back. So you have to be your own motivator. You have to tell yourself that no matter what happens, I'm gonna finish this project and it's gonna be good. And you gotta keep on saying that to yourself over and over and over again until you finally complete it. Staying motivated to finish something is definitely one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to making a manga. The next thing that I learned from making this book is pretty much doing your research. I didn't do any research when I was doing this book. Like I probably should have. Of course I've read manga, I've read comic books, so I knew the idea. Like I was like, okay, it can't be that hard. Making some pictures in a sequential art style, like, okay, how hard can it be? It can be very hard, okay? Because it's not just you drawing pictures, like I said earlier. It's a story. Things have to flow. You have to have a flow with your art. So I think something that really was a hard thing for me to like get good at, or at least be decent at, was finding a way to structure my pages to where it can flow seamlessly into the next scene. Having a seamless page flow was something I had to learn. It was really hard to do, but it can be done. Because like I said, the only way to get good at something is to actually do it. I'm the kind of person who, if I want to learn a new skill, I have to jump head first into it. You know what I'm saying? No rules, no hurt, no nothing like that. That's just how I learn. I just jump in and I'm like, shit, I got to figure it out. That's just how I learn. Not everyone's like me, but if you're someone who's like me, try doing that. If you're someone who needs more structure, then try to find tutorials, how to do page flow, how, ask for help, do more research, read your own books, read some more mangas and see how they do it. And that's also another way you can get better at creating books. So learning page flow, learning how to, transition scenes from the next one is another thing that I had to learn from making this book. Something else that I also had to learn while making a manga is learning how and when to turn up your art and to turn down your art. Now that makes no sense right now, but let me explain. So what I mean by that is there are some panels and some pages where you should turn up, like make sure your art is it's fire. And then there's some pages where you can turn it down a little bit to where it's not, it's still decent art to where you can look at it, but it's not like your best, you know what I'm saying? Learning how to water down and stylize your artwork to where it can be drawn at an efficient rate, not faster, but efficiently, was really difficult. I am a natural illustrator. Like I illustrate things, I draw very detailed artwork. So I'm used to doing stuff like that. So learning how to simplify your artwork so that you can get it done was so hard, because I wanted to have every single panel be detailed. Every single panel was gonna look super detailed. It would have been super meticulous. Everything would have been perfect. The proportions were great. Everything was going to look amazing in even the smallest panels. But when you're making a story, number one, that's so much time that you're wasting in those small panels just trying to make it look as detailed as possible, when you can save that detailed work for those splash pages or for those those pages that like capture the audience's eye. So keeping your artwork simple, making sure you don't go too far with the details in certain panels will really help you get things done. I'm gonna do a whole video just explaining that in process in general, but you can see the difference between a panel like this and a panel like that. Okay, you can see that one panel looks more simplified, less less effort put into it, and one has more effort put into it and looks more detailed. This is what I mean by toning down some of your artwork for some scenes and then raising up the volume on the other ones. So like I said, I'm going to explain more of that in detail in a different video, and I plan on making this a little mini series, so it's going to be a part 2 coming out soon. So with that being said, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.